Hey there, and welcome to the sixth episode of the Royal Duck podcast. My name is Prarthana, and I'm so glad to have you here. So, since I'm back after, a really long time, and this is my first episode of the year, I thought of, starting with the first. So, this is the first episode of a series that I would like to call Legendtastic, where we would talk about different fun facts and stats about legendary cricketers. So today's episode is going to be about arguably cricket's first legend and superstar, William Gilbert Grace, better known as WG Grace or just WG. So WG was born in Bristol in Victorian England in the year 1848, which some people describe as rather turbulent, and he apparently belonged to a typical Victorian family where he was the eighth child of the family, and there were more children. The Graces were already a cricketing family, with some notable ones being Henry Mills Grace, his father, E.M. Grace, his brother, and Fred Grace, also his brother. So by the time WG was 16, he became a very well known person in cricketing circles due to his brilliant abilities as a cricketer. WG often credited his family with this because they were all very into cricket. He believed that they gave him a very nurturing environment in which he could better develop his cricketing skills. So yeah, he started they started him off young. So he played many of his first few amateur games in the gentleman versus player games, in which he represented the gentleman. In his very long first class career of just a little over 40 years, spanning from 1865 to 1908, he played 44 seasons of first class cricket. 44 seasons. And he played for many teams throughout his entire career. Like his national team England and domestic teams like Gloucestershire, MCC, the gentlemen in gentlemen versus player games, uh, London County, etc. He officially retired from first class cricket in 1908 at the age of 60. How many players have you heard of continuing to play first class cricket till the age of 60? How many? And after retiring, he still continued to play some minor unofficial games till, uh, till 1914, after which he died a year later, 1915, at the age of 67. So he played his last, like, minor cricket game at the age of 66. So anyway, obviously, just hearing this, you'll know that he was an incredible player, and probably just one episode is not enough to talk about the impact he has had on this game. So I'm just gonna talk about 12 fun facts and stats I came across him while researching for this episode. So let's start. He was the first player to achieve 2000 runs and 100 wickets in a single season. This was in 1873. He achieved 2000 runs and 100 wickets in a single season. Oh, wow, he was quite legendary. Second, he was the first England batter to score a century in international cricket. This was against Australia in 1880, where he scored 152 runs on debut. The third one is he scored the first ever triple century in first class cricket, scoring 344 runs for MCC against Kent. He soon followed this up with 318 runs for Gloucestershire against Yorkshire. Wow. I'm still trying to think about it. Like he scored a triple century and few days later, like this was not like a huge gap or something. It's not like years or months, anything like that. Few days later, he ended up scoring another triple century. The fourth one is in 1895, he became the first batter to score 1,000 runs in the month of May. Only May, no other months, just May. And in the same year, he became the first batter to score 100 centuries in first class cricket. So he ended up scoring a total of 124 centuries, if I'm right. And yeah, so this was just up to the 100th in 1895. The fifth one is he achieved the double of 1,000 runs and 100 wickets in a single season 7 times throughout his career. Like, not once, 7 times throughout his entire career. The sixth one is he's the oldest player to captain a test match at the age of 50 years and 320 days. He was almost 51 when he captained his last match for England. And another age related record is he's also the third oldest cricketer to have played a test match at the age of 52 years and 165 days. Wow. Seven. He ghost wrote two books, the first one being Cricket in 1891, and the second one being Reminiscences in 1899. So this guy is not only a legendary cricketer, but he also wrote books about cricket, of course, but he still wrote books. Eight, this should be a more well-known fact, but surprisingly it's not. But he is often credited with inventing and revolutionizing modern batting. So basically, the context for this is where during it was during WG's career when overarm bowling was legalized, and so this brought a lot of changes into the way the players started bowling. They started trying out new things and stuff like that. So WG was the guy who sort of invented and revolutionized new ways of batting to counter the overarm bowling. And so then he had a bunch of interesting nicknames throughout his life, like the Doctor. And this was not just because he played like, as precisely like a surgeon, because he was a real life doctor. He qualified as a medical doctor at the age of 31 because he had to juggle cricket and his education. So that's why it took him to get to the age of 31 before he actually qualified as a doctor. And he also had other nicknames like the Old Man, which I guess doesn't need explanation, and the Champion, which also doesn't need an explanation. And what, the next fact is unbelievable. So in a film made in 1975 called Monty Python and the Holy Grail, WG's image is used as the face of God. Okay, when I first read this, I did not believe it. Then I went ahead and Googled it, and even then I did not believe it. I thought this is some AI generated crap. And then I realized, oh wait, it's real. Then that got me thinking about how much AI has messed my sense of trust. I see an image and I'm immediately like, is this AI generated? So anyway, yeah. But it's true, they actually did use his image. And this is not really a stat or anything, but then I just found it interesting. That's why I'm including this. So apparently, while fielding one day, he made a throw of 122 yards, or for those of us who don't use yards, it's 111.5 meters. So, you know, to give you a clearer picture, a lot of stadia nowadays have 60-meter boundaries. So if he's standing at one end of the stadium at one boundary, his throw is enough to almost go all the way to the other end of the ground, not just the pitch, all the way to the ground itself. So wow. So I guess that's sort of like a testimony to his athletic ability. Okay, so for the last one, I have saved the best for the last. So I literally tell this to everyone who's willing to listen to me yap about cricket. So Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, you may better know him as the author of Sherlock Holmes, the famous detective books. He was considered an amateur cricketer, and he had played a few first class games, and he had a highest score of 43 runs, and taken only one wicket throughout his entire first class career, and that wicket was of WG Grace. And apparently, when he dismissed WG Grace, he became so happy, he ended up writing a 19 verse poem to express his joy. I can't imagine, like, I don't even have the patience to read a 19 verse poem, forget writing one. Like, like, when I'm doing English in college, it's like if the poem goes for more than 5 stanzas at this point, I'm like, no, that's too much. 19 verses, that's just how happy this man was. So yeah, that's that for today's episode. Thank you for listening. Happy Republic Day. Have a great day. See ya.